This is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
Hello and welcome. You're watching a very special edition of Webit, and that's one of the world's largest communities of people fascinated by technology, digital transformation and startups, held in the capital recently. The big focus was, of course, how the digital revolution, ushered in by technology and hyperconnectivity of consumers and devices, will change the way businesses will evolve or will perhaps die. What will be the future of brand and customer relationships led not just by humans but by technologies like artificial intelligence? Do the current measurement tools need to be phased out? That and more was discussed, and here are glimpses for those who missed the action.
My name is Sweetie.
Remember the online winning
I'm 10
campaign
years old.
featuring a virtual
I
child
live
that
in the
helped nab
Philippines.
pedophiles in countries like Australia?
Every day, I have to sit in front of the webcam and talk to men, just like tens of thousands of other kids. The men ask me to take off my clothes. They undress, but what they don't know, I'm not real. I'm a computer model.
Predators are being stopped, and children are being saved.
This year in March, McCann Japan gained the world's attention for hiring an artificially intelligent creative director called AICD Beta that gives creative ideas with a simple creative brief, the category type and creative goal. And guess what? Industry experts claim that in about 10 years there will be 300 to 500 billion devices connecting almost 8 billion people. These are instances of how technology, connectivity, smart devices and data are forcing businesses to learn, to adapt or become irrelevant. That was the focus of the day-long inaugural Webit India conference in the capital recently. Policymakers, brands, marketers, startups and investors got together to deconstruct the newest technological and digital innovations and discuss how that is shaping the future of businesses and societies.
We're talking about digital transformation, but actually it's a societal transformation. Right now, the Silicon Valley and very handful number of people are actually shaping the future of the whole parts of the whole world.
Digital is no longer a term really anymore. I think it's part of everyday lives.
Using anecdotes from popular culture, the chief guest, General V.K. Singh, the Minister for State for External Affairs, set the agenda for the day with a pertinent question about India's digital ecosystem capabilities.
Almost 50 years back, I read a book. It was called The Tomorrow File. And it talked of a world where you had robots who were the workers and human beings who were the masters. And anybody who dreamt of a digital world 20 years, 30 years back, if he was to look back, he would find that the way technology is outdating previous technologies, it is mind-boggling. India holds a very strong position where the information technology world is concerned. Are we holding an equally good position in the digital world?
India's digital ecosystem is exciting yet complex, with 400 million people connected on laptops, mobiles, tablets, wearables and TVs, which unleashes an overwhelming stream of data. Experts believe that brands are still grappling with data hypothesis. Most marketers in fact use vanity metrics like the number of app downloads or Facebook likes instead of actionable metrics to measure the impact of online campaigns.
It's the volume of data, it's the variety of data, and it's the velocity at which we're capturing it. We're on our phones, we're logging into apps, there's geolocation information, we're providing a lot. How do we figure out, one, what data to collect, and then how do we harness that and then respond in a way that you want to give you a better customer experience?
I think one of the challenges that executives have is they want a dashboard that answers their questions. The problem that actually is there that they don't actually know what questions they should be asking. They don't actually know what they need to monitor to drive actions in the business.
Globally, there's a lack of talent. There's a huge amount of data. But you have structured data, you have unstructured data. Your structured data isn't always structured properly. It's often incomplete, it's often old. So there's a huge process in terms of looking at what you actually have and figuring out how it all fits together.
Added to the complexity is also the issue of consumers hopping from TV to mobile to outdoor, digital and to many other small and big platforms. Experts believe there are no universal metrics to measure aggregated effectiveness of online marketing campaigns.
One of the biggest challenges is the fact that we have so many different devices coming online all the time. The difference between a device on a phone and the same person going to a desktop, there is no technology really at the moment who can differentiate between them being the same person. The true way to understand data is to start looking at individuals and saying what is the conversion rate of an individual that comes to my website to them becoming a customer.
There are 225 million smartphone users in India. Over 4 minutes are spent per day by consumers on their mobile phones, and 50% of searches happen on the mobile phone. Domain experts want brands and startups to move away from building a transaction-based relationship on what is such an incredibly personal platform and instead use it for customization and personalization via apps.
Everybody is using their mobile phones for every single part of their everyday life. It's only about approach. The apps are building the experience that makes this connection closest and strongest. The question is, it will be fight for the number of apps. You cannot have hundreds of apps on your phone. So those who build the right apps that unite and build enough solutions for the users will be the winners. We might be actually forgetting that we have phones. We might be actually using our eyewears for communicating.
Emerging trends? That's pointing towards artificial intelligence, virtual reality experiences, hyperconnectivity and voice as a platform.
So voice, as far as I'm concerned, yes, it's going to be a big thing for future. All said and done, it's easier to navigate than navigate a search bar on a keyboard and a screen.
We've always treated digital in isolation. I think now with everything becoming digitized all around us, it's important we don't see digital as one medium, because in the media world, advertising world, we only look at stuff like TV, radio, digital, print, outdoors. But you and I have an experience out there which is beyond this. That integration role is going to be very key to the future of where digital is going, and it's not about just enabling digital from a tool end. It's about orchestrating departments.
The challenge, however, is how does technology affect the brand-customer relationship, especially in the age of artificial intelligence and chatbots?
Chatbots that are going to come out, so you'll have a new sense of marketer who is having to engage with an artificial intelligence and sculpt that relationship that those AI platforms will have with consumers. As it stands at the moment, artificial intelligence is not at the stage where it can be left on its own. We need to be able to sculpt that experience and tell the stories that we want to tell within a framework.
Co-creation as one of the pieces which sits out of digital technology is what needs to be explored.
Overall, a successful end to Webit's first ever conference in India.
It's a good first initiative. The fact that it's happening in NCR, most of such events happen out of Bangalore by and large. I think it brings people around NCR together. There's a lot of learning, there's a lot of ideas sharing, solution sharing.
So far I've been really impressed. Crowd seems engaged. The people that are talking are of a really high caliber. If this is the first year, hopefully this forms a platform and the basis from which a lot more events can grow.
Really high-class professional event.
Well, you can choose to love or hate technology, but you certainly cannot ignore it. After all, it's the key to how consumers of the future will be engaged. Up next, the Ixigo success story propelled by online viral videos. But how credible does that sound? Watch and decide for yourselves. That's up after the break. Hello and welcome back. You're watching a very special episode on Webit. That's one of the world's premier marketing and technology conferences that also involves startups. Now on to a term that's often the most exploited terms in the industry, viral videos. Clients often ask agencies to create viral videos, not realizing that viral videos as a term is just an outcome, not a strategy. And here's Ixigo's content head who says, viral videos can be created. There is a strategy to creating viral videos. Listen into the session and decide for yourself.
It has taken me 2.5 years to say confidently, yes, there is a method to the madness behind viral videos and this is how we do it. But what's exciting about India is that, the internet base in India is 400 million users and 300 million of those are mobile internet users. An entire generation of people are experiencing internet for the first time. With their excitement of what's happening in India, the mobile penetration, people consuming content, the huge challenge is that there's overwhelming content density. Heck, I've seen movies in the 90s by fast forwarding the songs. And if you see fast forward to today and see the people generation today watching videos, just look at them. Whenever an ad comes, whenever an iota of appears on the screen, they just alt tab, switch and you're on to something else. So that's the which we have to pierce through by authentic content. So let's start. The 7 secrets. First, is it share worthy? It's not about the views. Views can be bought. Shares are earned. Why would anyone care to share it? Because, like working for a company, creating a lot of content, we get obsessed about our brand. So the logo har jagah chipka dete, right? Friends have been tagging friends. It's starting conversations, and that's the sweetest spot to be in, when friends are tagging their friends, and you are the reason as a brand who made that possible. You're the facilitator of that conversation. So this hit 7 million views, and it was covered by NDTV on day 1, organically, right? So take a look. So for me, 3 to 6 seconds is what I have to make an impact. Keep videos 1 to 2 minutes long. YouTube had a 15-second rule that in the first 15 seconds, show what's going to come. So this is a video in January. 1 week, 40 million views, 20,000 app installs, 1 million shares, all organic. And mind you, it's not even a video. We had pictures which were so really beautiful. Very important, storytelling beats production value. Why is that? On a tiny screen, you don't need fancy equipment, you don't need fancy lighting. You just want to make sure whatever subject is there, it is, clearly, evidently visible. It's a tiny screen, you have HD camera in your phones. The fourth biggest secret was make for mobile. The biggest learning I've had in last year. Make for mobile. And biggest learning here is square videos. Movies, videos have always been rectangle. Why? Because the movies were rectangle, TV screens were rectangle, but we use phones vertically. It gives you more real estate on the screen. You don't have to tilt it. It's just very native to the, to the mobile experience. Then we made this video for IBIS Hyderabad. We had nothing to know about Hyderabad. So, we researched, again, the same 5 buckets I had, right? This is a video launched 10 days back. Numbers of first 3 days, 3 million views, 50,000 shares.
How? Nakko. Potti. Potta. 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 Tereku. Mereku. Mama. Mama. काइकू 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 जरा हल्लू चलो हल्लू हल्लू.
The next thing is distribution strategy. How do you distribute a video? Right? That's what I learned from email marketing. Tuesday, Wednesday ko launch karo, Monday ko log busy hain, Friday ko chutti hai, right? So that was the whole idea. The most important learning is for any video, we need to kick it as hard as we can into the universe. So we have a benchmark of 100 shares in first 10 minutes. Initial seeding within your group. We launched a video on Friday at 5 o'clock because people are relatively free waiting for 6 o'clock. So launch day and time is decided by your core group. Multiple versions, it's of course Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp. You have mailers, databases, mobile notification, whatever you can. Outreach to 3 p.m. content blogs, as BuzzFeed, Scoop, Whoop. They may not pick it up, but they like good stories. Or journalists, always. And 6, please don't make an ad. Content marketing is the exact opposite of advertising. And the thing is, nobody gives a shit about us, about our brand, or services or products. It's about them. It's about their pain points, their challenges. If through our content we can make an impact in their lives, then we have an evangelist on our side. When we had 1 million people sharing a video, we had 1 million messengers. 7th, think conversation, not campaigns. Because campaigns is, what we've got from traditional marketing. Inside the bag of Indian students, NRI, everybody joined in the conversation. Arey, main parathe leke jata hu, main gahi leke jata hu. It's a thing happening, right? Unusual Beaches started a global conversation. It's a 55 million views video about which beach. That's starting a conversation, and your brand is facilitating that. Last words, it's not about being creative. It's about being creative consistently. A.R. Rahman won Oscar for Jai Ho, the song. I don't think Jai Ho is his best song. But he was creative consistently, because you don't know which one will be big. Do 10 experiments, 2 will work, just like movie studios. That whole culture of experimentation is very important, because as we're moving forward, this thing is changing very fast. And the only way to evolve is to hell with the pressures of work, let's experiment. Thank you very much.
Well, like we said, you can only control strategies and not the outcomes. But the key here is whatever content you put out should have good stories, good narratives, which never goes out of style. And at that, we'll slip into a quick break, but lots more on the other side. So stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching a very special episode of Webit. That's one of the world's premier conferences on technology, marketing, digital media, and of course, startups. Now, the current ecosystem is populated by digital and traditional platforms, has unleashed a lot of complexity in terms of complex purchase behavior. How often have we gone to the last mile and cancelled transactions, well, because of a bad review online or bad ratings? Well, amid all that complexity, what will solidify purchase behavior and customer loyalty? This session will answer all of those questions, so listen in.
Prior to the digital transformation wave hitting in, the customer had a very simple life. You had a few points of information flowing in, and those were helping you consider and decide what you wanted to buy. You had a few places to go to buy, and that's it, chapter closed. And the marketers on the other side did the same story. Times changed, and they changed pretty quickly. And you have suddenly not a very linear customer journey. There is no longer a trigger, consideration, evaluation, moment of purchase, and an experience as defined in older models of customer journeys. You would see that at times you've been through this journey, about to purchase, swipe your card, and you say, okay, before I do this, can I put this on a WhatsApp group to my friends and figure out I'm buying the right thing? And one person out of that just happens to say something. And there goes the entire effort of the brand in getting you to sign up with them. We've got to actually not be reactive to consumer journeys. We've got to be proactive in consumer journeys. We've got to shape those consumer journeys. It is not just going to be enough to be there with the content when the customer needs it, but to be proactively leading the consumer to the content.
And what in the Purana Zamana used to be word of mouth, and what is today friends, recommendations by friends, and loyal communities and so on. Is that something that is really irreplaceable, and is that something that money can't buy?
If you just go back and see why they're recommending, still falls back into those original research that person may have done. The effect of branding, advertising for that person to choose something and try it first, say it is good or not, and then start recommending to their friends and family still originates from some research. That research has turned to online now. They become influencers for their own circle.
Is there really, I mean, does a brand really stand a chance in being able to control the narrative about them and their products online?
I think that's why social media plays such an important role. How they manage the conversations that are going on online is a big part of any company now. I think taking action if there's any negative, conversations which are going on, you can see clearly Airtels of the world. Everyone responds immediately as soon as you tweet about it. This can be managed, what is being said online.
What we did in sort of the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s is we lived in a product-led world where when people wanted to go and get a product, they just bought a product and there was no big area around that. What we then did is with the invention of brand marketing is we then moved into a brand-led world where the stuff we're talking about now, where the brand owns the message and they manage the entire communication outside. They manage that story that's being told. That's what marketing was originally developed for. We've then seen a shift with social media and with the sort of proliferation of mobile, the customer now owns that communication. The customer creates that story. The brands are just there to create an asset that adds to the value of that communication and to that story. And if any brands start to try to take over that story, it always comes off incredibly negative.
Megan, I just wanted to come to you. Does it ever worry you as a consumer, the amount of knowledge companies have about you as a user online and as a customer, and does it ever, create discomfiture? And do you ever try to do something to, protect, your usage and, that kind of identity and information about you?
Yeah, every once in a while I have these moments where I worry, but then I think about my day and how many times I look at my phone and I use these apps, and if I wasn't willing to give the information, I wouldn't be enjoying the benefits. The trade-off is worth it. I think that as businesses, we have a responsibility to protect the data and only use it in the way that I'm signing up for.
Do you all trust all the companies that we give our data to, every small app, every single company? We don't even know who these companies are. Does it ever create any discomfort for you?
I think the worry is that how these companies are using my data, how they're protecting my data. If my data gets leaked, my information is available for others to use on authentic sites as well, because we end up using the same passwords on so many sites. So the trickle effect could be bad, but I think I'm comfortable giving away some of my private data for the services I get. I'll only worry about giving my data to new companies who don't have any track record to protect it. I think as long as my data is protected, I would be fine.
Many future consumer journeys that are being shaped, and they call it interconnected capabilities are the research. So the backbone being automation, then predictive or proactive personalization. Personas is what you talked of. Contextual interactions and amazing consumer innovation journeys. And I'm looking at voice interactivity going into future.
Of course, big data analysis is very important, deep learning. But you have to be careful because big data analysis and deep learning is about making the right hypothesis. And this is where the game differentiator comes in.
What I foresee is the way people interact with computers now. So earlier you would log on to a website, see what are the options, click on something, then move forward. Then it moved to search engine. Then it moved to a little bit of more conversational formats where chatbots come in, and which is what is happening today. And you can write, so and so, what is the price of that phone? Then I think we'll move to voice, where you would say, hey Siri or hi Alexa, and what is the price of this device? I think that's where the future is going. Probably Siri would now tell you that, this new phone has launched. So the interactions are becoming more and more human-like. Homes and, the whole setup will be connected through IoT. I think those are what I think is the future and what excites me.
Up next on the show, why are brands shying away from partnering with startups? We'll find that out on the other side of the break, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. You're watching a very special episode on Webit. Now, besides discussing the latest trends in technology and digital, the other big focus area was startups. And the past 2 years, particularly for the startup industry, have been remarkable. Startups aided by simple ideas and technology have filled need gaps in transportation, food, education and tech, have put India on the global map. In fact, currently the country is home to the third largest number of technology-driven startups in the world. Besides huge funding from global investors in 2015, the Indian government too announced policy support. So how could a conference on digital and technology stay away from addressing and recognizing startups? Several 20-something entrepreneurs and investors thronged to discuss, debate and predict future drivers of the startup industry in India. The man in charge on stage was somebody who himself has spearheaded growth for the startup ecosystem, Ashok Madravali. The director of NASSCOM's 10,000 startups, while sounding encouraging, did draw attention to the missing pieces of the startup puzzle.
Indian product startups have not really succeeded on a global scale, at least not a lot of them, primarily because design thinking and just building design into the products has been a key challenge. The other thing is it's a very nascent ecosystem. We haven't had too many successes.
Taking a cue from startups in the AdTech space, Madhavali also pointed out that brands choose to stay away from partnering with startups.
In the country, we have over 250 plus AdTech startups. All the big companies don't want to try out too much of innovative products because they are not really sure whether this company is going to be there 6 months down the line. So I think that's one of the things. Adoption of new innovations has been slow.
While the lack of scalable strategy for many startups is still the pullback factor, the focus, however, remained on how big data and technology can aid growth.
No, AdTech is in still a very early stage of development in the country. India has traditionally come from a very strong analytics and big data background, so we were still going to see a lot of good companies in advertising analytics, be it video analytics, be it social media analytics. We are going to see a lot of those platforms. Programmatic is going to be a key.
Webit India 2016 also witnessed a lavish display of spectacular ideas by many young entrepreneurs. From startups recycling cigarette waste to doorstep tailoring startups, the event witnessed a good blend of technology, education and art.
Well, first off, many doctors these days advise us to spend a little bit of time outside the virtual world, away from gadgets, and art is actually as innocent and real as it gets when it comes to connecting with yourself.
Mojato.com, NDTV's online art venture, set up a booth at the Webit conference where visitors got a chance to step out of the digital world for a short break and connect with something organic. A quick little contest was organized where people got a chance to interpret artist Shantanu Hazarika's artwork in their own way and sketch or write whatever it means to them. The winner received a signed copy of the original.
I didn't expect this amount of people to come here and show interest in something called art.
I have never expected to be a part of this digital conference. I was so amazed to see that.
When I came here, I saw the artist, I saw the art, so it gives me an immense pleasure.
And the best part of the evening, pitches by startups and instant funding of $100,000 in kind. All you had to do was convince the panel of investors on stage to put their money into your idea. The problem that you were attempting to solve, a convincing strategy for expansion and competitive edge. After going through approximately 1,500 applicants, the international board and the jury of investors selected around 45 semi-finalists. Only 7 got to the finals. Among the lucky ones that made the cut were Hippocabs. This Jaipur-based cab aggregator service caters to people who travel across the states in India via luxury buses and book Tatkal train tickets. Zoom Garage, an online service attempting to meet any kind of car services, car wash, repair, modifications and roadside assistance. Second Sun Systems, system to grow plants under shades. CubeRoot. While brands and startups seem to be still struggling with how to adopt a data-centric approach to their marketing campaigns, this startup CubeRoot comes to assist brands to leverage the power of data analytics. SuitUp India. This startup uses technology to provide custom-made tailored dressing at your doorstep. Take and Pick. A community-based online shopping platform, Take and Pick offers lifestyle products while also allowing for social networking and virtual trials. Bottle Coal. Bottle Coal is an app created by two 24-year-olds which targets bar hoppers to allow them to carry their bottle of drink virtually to any bar in town. Presentations, sharp criticism and unending volley of cross-questioning by investors ensued right after. The verdict went in favor of virtual bottle provider app, Bottle Coal. What is it that set you apart from the rest?
So the idea is just carrying your bottle virtually. Like today you go to any cafe or a bar and you ask for a bottle and something is left over. You cannot take it home. What do you do with it? You cannot stock it. The next best option is to take it down on an app. Half bottle is left, you have it on record on your app. Next time you go there or you go to
the next restaurant, you can just use
any restaurant which is on the app.
Yeah,
you will get that half bottle.
You can use it then.
And where does the prize money go? Like which part of the business are you going to invest it in?
This is a kind, we will get services from the company.
Services from the company, and whatever amount we get, we'll use it in the marketing. We're talking to a lot of restaurants right now to tie up with them.
Word of mouth is the best way. I don't need to pay Facebook, Twitter, I don't need to do anything.
Is the current scenario of startups, and entrepreneurship in the country, do you find it encouraging or do you find it a little disturbing? Because funding clearly doesn't look as encouraging as it was in 2015.
It's a good time to start our own thing because it's a very unique idea, and I think people of my age group who party a lot, who love to buy bottles, it's easier for them.
Even though the pitch unveiled some stellar ideas and highlighted bold ambitions of founders, many of them, investors felt, sadly had one thing in common, which is lack of presentation skills, a major roadblock for getting funded.
Those that we've seen here showed a significant lack of presentation skills. You have to be able to express yourself. So there were some really clever people on the stage who were lacking the opportunity to really express how important and how great is their idea.
Criticism aside, the presence of marketeers, digital experts, policymakers, mobile specialists and technology oracles debating and deliberating on important issues did manage to get full house sessions with an interactive audience.
We're actually very impressed with the quality of the event that came out to be, that we ended up being. Comparing to the Webit Sofia, obviously this is nowhere near the level, but we have successfully been able to pull together a good conference with a great amount of people.
Being endorsed by governments around the world gives us a special ambassador status. Right now, the Silicon Valley and very handful number of people are actually shaping the future of the whole parts of the whole world. Another place where this happens is China. We believe that here there should be shapers that we will find through this event, maybe not this year, but in the next years, and we'll help them become a global shapers.
While other sessions did manage to get us interesting insights on what's next for businesses, offline and online both, the bright spot for us was seeing these passionate whiz-kids rub shoulders and talk shop with global industry leaders so convincingly. Stellar ideas, but much work to be done as far as presentation skills are concerned. Now that's some insight for all you founders. Moving on, to get a ringside view of the startup industry in India, we caught up with Ashok Madrawali, the director of NASSCOM's 10,000 startups. He spoke about what will unfold in the next phase. for startups in India. So Ashok, welcome to NDTV. First of all, now that we're talking about startups, so India is home to the third largest number of technology-driven startups in the world after the United States and the United Kingdom, right? What, in your opinion, how are we different from the startups, for instance, in Singapore and US, UK, or even Israel?
I don't think, to be honest, we are very different. In fact, when we hosted Vinod Khosla last year, and he said, wow, this is as good as any startup that I would find in the Bay Area. The top cream of the startups are doing as good as any other startup in any other ecosystem, but we still have not reached that critical mass of high quality startups. That is because of various reasons. One is talent. High quality engineering talent not being available, high quality design talent not being available, and of course the ecosystem itself has to grow and mature in terms of funding being available. There's certain kind of funding which is right now, whether it's a Series B or a Series C, where startups are getting stuck at.
You know, you yourself just spoke about the fact that 2015 was the year of startups where funding wasn't really a problem, right, for startups. But 2016 was the year when funding sort of dried up. Investors became more rational about where they would like to invest. What do you see going forward in 2016? What are the business models going to look like?
Funding, I don't think has dried up at all. In fact, only thing that's changed is people are little more cautious about putting in money. There's a lot more due diligence being done on the teams, on their backgrounds, and on the business itself. That kind of trend is going to continue. But what is happening for sure is we are seeing bias towards more B2B startups. I don't know if it's because of what happened in the B2C sector last year, but we are seeing a lot of investors wanting to invest in the B2B
Why do you think that is the case?
Because it's easier to do a B2B startup than a B2C in the Indian context, and a lot of the startups have come from those kind of backgrounds. If you look at all the founders they are all people who have had work experience at large companies in a B2B context. So you have folks from Salesforce, IBM, Oracle, all coming with years of experience and then trying startup.
Now, talking about marketing in startups, of course, marketing is integral to any brand's growth. You talk about legacy brands or you talk about startups, and most of the startups, the top ones, the unicorns, they have been investing in TV heavily. But on the other hand, the smaller startups are usually of the opinion that digital is far better in terms of spending because you get accurate results, you can target who you want to accurately, and you don't have to invest much as far as advertising spends are concerned. But if you see the top startups, they investing in digital, then where does this argument go that perhaps digital is far better?
See, digital is obviously very performance oriented, so, and of course
but can you build a brand on digital?
In the Indian context, absolutely not. Even in the world, I don't think you can do that. But what is working for all these large companies is because they want to get mind share of people, and that will happen only if you engage on any of the popular platforms, whether it's television, right? And for startups, they don't have any other choice. If they had the money, I'm sure they would have done TV ads as well. But a lot of the young startups have limited budgets that they can spend on, so they use it on a little bit of Facebook marketing.
Perhaps open your own video channel or get bloggers and influencers on social media.
Yeah, actually that's a good point that
you
bring up. A lot of B2B companies are focusing a lot on content marketing and trying to get a white paper out, trying to put a blog article out, and people read those. If you see Freshdesk, for example, almost every other day they have articles on their blogs, on their websites, which talk about how to retain customers, how to grow your customer base.
Once startups start growing, how can they retain the startup culture?
For startup founders, it's all about people that they hire, and it's increasingly imperative for the founders to make sure that the first layer of employees that they are able to onboard are the right kind of people. And talent is not just enough. It's more about the kind of backgrounds that they come from, the passion that they bring in. And most of founders on the team are people who can do multiple things. If you look at most successful startups, they have a very good mix of that talent to grow that culture.
And what's your take on legacy brands and startups collaborating with each other, right, instead of dueling? Because startups are nimble, right? They're fresh, they have fresh thinking, they have young blood and people who are really energetic and quick to learn and quick to perhaps grow and adapt to new technologies and methods. But what they certainly lack, the decision making capabilities. What they often do is make wrong decisions even though they have the money.
Let's face it, bigger companies, it's far more difficult to innovate. I think there will be consolidation over the next few years. The larger players, if you see the kind of acquisitions that have been happening, whether it's in the United States or in India itself, there's a lot of acquisitions that will continue to happen in the next few years, as some of these bigger players realize that it's important to look at new trends and new technologies and quickly buy them and have them as part of their portfolio. And I believe, especially in the ad tech context, we are going to see a lot more companies getting consolidated over the next couple of years.
Okay. And one last question from you, since you are the authority on startups, what is that one message that you have for new founders or people who want to get into the startup space?
A lot of the early stage startups that we work with across the program don't go and meet enough people outside. So that's possibly because a lot of the founders come from a very engineering, technology focused background. So what happens is they're more focused on solving a problem without trying to understand whether the problem is a business problem. Right? I think that is a key challenge for a lot of the startups. Without validating their building products, a lot of the founders have not succeeded in building a great consumer-focused startup in India is because we have not really understood the Indian consumer.
Yet, yeah. I mean, that's of course one of the problems with big legacy brands.
I think you just need to step out and go out and speak to users and then come back and start building the product.
So you're clearly pointing out to a lack of research as far as startups are concerned, and that's what people who want to get into entrepreneurship or who want to be founders should keep in mind. That's definitely one of the
things. Yeah, that is definitely one thing, and also the fact that India itself is a land of opportunities. So then there's no need to build a Me Too product. In fact, you can focus on building products for the Indian consumer, which is going to evolve. About 1 billion people are still to come onto the internet. Yes, and those are the people who will need these services and products. Right?
I mean, rural India is full of opportunities.
And
the government is ready to.
Jio out there, right?
Yeah.
And when you bring all of these together, it's going to open up new doors for the Indian consumer. They're waiting, they're voracious, right? They want to come and consume, and consumption is going to go to an all-time high. Indian startups should be looking at tapping into this untapped set of customers.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for joining us, Ashok, and it was lovely having you. That was Ashok Madhurwali, the director of NASSCOM's 10,000 startups, sounding optimistic about the future of the Indian consumption story that will drive the future of the startup ecosystem. The big trends are, of course, have scalable and sustainable ideas and fill any gaps like nobody else. With that, it's a wrap from all of us here on Webit. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did putting it together for you. From the entire team, goodbye and thank you very much for watching.